Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses, show where Moon and I are picking up and putting down, catching up on all the media hits we missed.
Uh-huh.
Starting off today's recordings great. I'm your host,
Yeah.
Boston. Joining me as always is Moon Pier.
I
We
oh boy.
are, yeah, we finished up with the classic last time. Now we're moving on to, I guess, probably another classic. This is 1986's Little Shop of Horrors.
Probably more of a cult classic, one might say.
Yeah, I was wondering. That. This is one I have seen before. Have you seen this one?
I have, yes. Which one are we watching?
The Rick Moranis one from '86.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen it, but I haven't seen it since I was about 4. So
Okay. I saw
I
this
remember
in
nothing.
yeah I saw this in music class in high school. I despised music class because I could never learn any of the terms. Like they were just
Uh-huh.
like, ugh, obviously this is so obvious what like I don't even remember what any of the terms are because I was so garbage at it. But as part of it, we watched Little Shop of Horrors, and the teacher was like, "Hey, what did everyone think about this movie? What do you think are kind of the key points of the movie?" And I raised my hand. And I was like, "I thought it was really way funnier than I was expecting it to be," and like the horrible look I got from literally everybody in the class and the teacher. And I was like, oh, so I have a
Uh-huh.
little bit of a darker sense of humor here, huh? Okay.
Uh-huh. It is a dark comedy, I believe.
I mean, I think so. We'll find out again as we watch it again. But I
Uh-huh.
sort of considered it to be this kind of like almost tongue in cheek kind of dark comedy thing. But maybe teenage me was wrong, as teenagers are wrong about almost everything.
Yeah, but at the same time, Teenage you was also forging his own path and not listening to
That's
what the
right.
mainstream musical media should tell them
That's
they
right.
should
Get
listen
out of
to.
here, squares. I'm watching
You were doing
musicals.
your own research.
That's right. That's right. That's right. God.
So I guess we should say like what because it's gonna fall on me mostly this time, I believe. Like, what do I know about this movie?
Hmm.
I know 3 things.
Okay.
I know Rick Moranis,
Okay. That's a good start.
one because it's one of his few roles. Because Rick Moranis is also it's the guy. He's the guy from Ghostbusters, right? And
Yeah.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yep.
And I know it's one of his few performances because he retired from acting after the tragedy of his wife, just to
Yep.
look after his kids. Which, good on you, Rick Moranis.
Yep. Two
Like,
thumbs up, fellow stay-at-home dad, Rick Moranis.
yeah, like, no, I'm done with acting. I'm gonna go
That's
look
right.
after my kids for a while. Like,
That's right.
cool.
Yep.
But he made the big bucks with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, apparently.
Yeah. Probably.
I know Seymour. I know the name.
Okay.
Seymour being the Venus flytrap looking plant, which is the titular plant, I believe.
Uh-huh.
Um,
It's
I know.
one piece of I usually don't like to correct here, but one piece of correction is Seymour is Rick Moranis' character's name. That's
Okay,
why the plant always Seymour.
says Seymour. Okay,
Right.
there we
Right.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, so I at least knew the name Seymour. So that's
Right.
Rick. So I know 2 things about Rick
Well, and
Moranis.
you
I know
know,
the
like
plant.
the thing the plant says all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also know that this does not end in the same way the musical ends. Uh,
I remember something about that, but I don't know the specifics.
I can tell you exactly what it is if you'd
Oh,
like.
okay.
The movie version, the plants are defeated, or the plant is defeated.
Okay.
Uh, in the musical version, the plants win.
Okay. Interesting.
And one of the things they do during the big productions of it is they start having vines coming down through the aisles
Oh,
to show
wow.
that the plants are taking over the theater and taking over the world, kind of
That's
thing.
clever.
Which is
Interesting.
it's a nice little touch.
Yeah.
So that is what I know,
Okay.
basically.
Sounds
I
like
don't know any of the songs.
sounds like we're gonna have a future season of watching 2 versions of each musical and comparing and
Oh,
contrasting.
jeez.
Yeah.
Oh.
Please don't expect that from us for a good long time.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's only been what, like So 14 seasons since the last musical season. That
That's
was like
right.
season 3 or
That's right.
4, something like that.
That's right. So season 34, you can expect probably not that. Um, yeah, I'm trying to remember what I knew from this. I remember liking it a lot. And I remember Rick Moranis was great as usual, and I remember liking the giant puppet that is the plant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's kind of all I remember. I know it is
Because it's
directed by
practical effects.
yeah, well, I mean, it's directed by Frank Oz, so I feel like it almost has to be practical effects.
Frank Oz of Star Wars fame, Frank Oz.
Yes, and I like a
Okay.
bajillion other things. I think like Sesame Street and the
I
Muppets.
I think Frank Oz is also the OG voice of Yoda, for the record.
I'm 99% sure that he is. Yes, he was.
Interesting.
He was the quote unquote the performer of Yoda. So I think he was the
He was the
puppeteer and
puppeteer as
the
well.
voice actor. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Dark Crystal, all the Muppets movies, like um, uh, every Muppets thing, and Sesame Street, and all that. So,
Do we need to?
oh, oh, here,
The look
here
on my face that you
should,
just saw that the
should,
listener didn't see
should I open the
is the
spreadsheet? Oh no.
this is a production meeting. No, isn't
Uh,
it?
uh,
Um, do we need to add Frank Oz with his storied career into our director slash actor specific seasons?
oh man,
And
yeah,
then
maybe.
on top of that, do we need a puppet season?
I mean, I'll always say yes to a puppet season, but I feel like that
Because
needs the most research of anything because I want to come up with like the best puppets that you don't know are puppets. Maybe I'm saying puppets a lot,
possibly.
and it's weirding me out, man.
Have you seen Team America? Is the question.
No, I have not. I think we have that in
Oh,
another season, right?
oh,
Is that
oh
also
no,
a
we have.
musical?
No, South
Okay.
Park, the movie is the
Oh, right, right,
musical
right.
that we have
Okay,
in a musical season.
right.
Team America is a puppet movie. I'm
Oh
just
man. All right, we're planting the seeds, getting a good preview of the psychic
next
damage
time
we do to
production
each
meeting.
other on the production meeting here. Patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
That's right.
Tell you which ones. Thank you very much.
That's right. $5 tier or higher. Please go sign up.
Uh-huh. Oh no.
Um,
So, but yeah. So, hold on. Let me write this down before I forget.
that's right. The other thing too is, I feel like this is probably another movie that has a ton of famous actors in it. I don't remember anybody except for Rick Moranis. So it's probably going to be either the opening credits is like, wow, he's in there, or someone pops up on screen. You're just like, wow, he's just showing up everywhere. All right.
Yeah. I wonder again, just like in romantic comedy season. I wonder if this is going to be a case of you almost could have had it, but you didn't, kind of
Right.
thing.
Their last great role, which is another good
Yes.
season title. um,
Mm,
sorry, production meeting. Um, I don't know if there's anything else.
let's
I don't know if
Belfast.
whoever wrote the songs here is famous. I don't know if um I feel like we're gonna
I,
be
I can't even think of the titular track. Like literally no idea.
okay. I remember the big song. I think it's the last song, maybe. I don't remember, but it's gonna be interesting to watch this one because I feel like probably to a lesser degree than Phantom, this probably has a bunch of cultural touchstones that we can
Yeah.
probably point out. Because it was a fairly, I think you hit the nail on the head in the intro. That's a fairly popular cult classic.
hmm
Um,
Like
but
you'll probably find that people who like this also like oh the one I think it's in this season or is it in this season? I don't know. It might be next season. Next musical season. The one with the performances that people sing along to. You know exactly what I'm talking about because we've talked about this several times.
we probably have, and I got no sleep last night, so I don't remember.
Tim Curry.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, that one.
See? See?
Anticipation. Yep.
Yeah, that one.
Let's do the time warp. Hop to the left. Yep.
Yeah, that one.
I
Yeah.
swear to God.
You're Googling it now.
I gotta look it up because I'm exhausted and I need to figure out what this is right now. And the thing is, I've only seen it about 100 times. A Rocky Horror Picture Show. Jesus Christ. Okay.
There we go.
Got it.
I think
oh man, we made
it. You'll probably find people talk about this in the same conversation as that and Fight Club and Train Spotting. Like it's that kind of.
You're kind of
people who were into that kind of
alt
movie.
things.
Yes, which.
Right.
No spoilers. No spoilers. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Good job, Paul. You contained yourself. You didn't spoil the later end of this season. Fantastic work.
I'm proud of you.
Okay. Oof, that was close.
Right.
Almost.
Have you seen Rocky?
Talking about like.
Have you seen Rocky Horror Picture Show? I don't remember.
No, dude. It's literally in like the next musical seasons.
I was just about to talk about the ending of that and whether I was interested to see if the ending of this movie is similar to that, but we'll find out.
Don't spoil it for me.
No, definitely not. All right. Any closing thoughts here before we head into the shop of horrors?
Is it little? Because I don't know if I can fit in. I'm a tall gentleman.
That's right. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
No, I think we're punchy enough, to be honest. And
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I'm curious. If anything. I remember it's New York, a New York apartment, I'm assuming, and Rick Moranis and a giant Venus flytrap. That's pretty much all I remember.
I think you got it all. The elevator pitch there. Yep.
All
right. On that note, let's go watch the film. Welcome back. We're back. We've watched the film. I feel like we need to address
immediately address the thing there. I was like, wait, hold on.
We need to address the elephant in the room here for one of us. Moon doesn't like tooth stuff.
Oh, that elephant! I have a separate note completely about that elephant.
Okay, we'll address that next. I feel like the I don't know how I forgot about, let's say, 50 to 60% of this movie being yo, a dentist. I one of Critical Miss's biggest gaffes here, along with Aliens.
My note specifically says "F you, Boston." By the way,
yeah, just genuinely
to give you a heads up.
Didn't remember any of that. We'll get to it here in a minute, but that's probably going to color some of our coverage here as a kind of a dislike of tooth-related things. So
it's okay. I was making notes on my phone with the phone covering what I could see of the television, so
and just hearing
and listening to the music. I was like, okay, fine, I guess.
Yeah. What is your overall note here? What is your elephant for this episode?
We watched the director's cut.
Yeah, which I didn't realize the kind of most recently released version of this was the director's cut. Didn't realize that until the ending.
The end. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it didn't end how you remembered. It ended completely differently.
Yeah. So we'll get there here in kind of due time here. But let's sort of start at the beginning here with the kind of the three fates, the Greek chorus, who is here throughout the rest of the movie, kind of introing the movie with the kind of title track here, the Little Shop of Horrors, which is I'm sure this is one you remembered as well. This is like one of the 3 or 4 big songs here.
Yes, this is one of those songs that I definitely remembered because it's catchy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, the budget on this movie, I know exactly what it was. It was $25 million. That's fine.
Okay.
But they spent it pretty much all on the puppet. I have to assume.
Yeah, I'm going to assume as well. Yeah,
because the essentially the entire set of this movie is a dentist's office. Thanks, Boston. And then this one street corner.
Yeah,
like that's
and like the back alley in one shot, which could have come from any number of movies that like feature a
Uh-huh.
war torn area. What I think is really interesting here is we kind of get introduced to all the characters. We get introduced to Seymour and Mishnik and Audrey one. But what I think is really interesting, I don't think I noticed it the first time I watched it, is the beginning of this movie in the flower shop is really shot like a play. Like it's kind of
Yep.
one shot, everybody's kind of looking at the camera at the where the audience would be. It kind of drops it pretty quickly, but I thought it was interesting of like, wow, you just shot this like a play. This is
Uh-huh.
interesting and kind of an interesting take on it. Um and
I will say right off the bat, Audrey 1's voice is very of the time, in which is to say,
yes,
I can forgive it because it's of the time. I also absolutely despise it because it's of the time.
she leans so hard into the voice, and like I know what voice they're going for, the like white picket fence kind of 50s nuclear
Uh-huh.
family America kind of thing, but yeah, I agree.
It's
it's a lot.
so while watching this movie, I had subtitle issues, we'll say.
Uh-huh.
We won't go too much into it, but I basically had to watch it in three different versions or
Okay.
three different formats, essentially.
Uh-huh.
And the format that worked the most was the one that refused to put subtitles on the screen.
Great. Love
So
it.
the back half of this movie, I didn't understand a word she was saying.
Yeah, 100%. I also had the same issues, but yeah, it's I appreciate that they stuck with it. I appreciate that they went with it. I I feel like I probably had this impression the first time I watched it. I'm surprised she didn't drop it at the end of the movie after her and Seymour get together. Like it's not an
Uh-huh.
affectation to kind of be more attractive or whatever she kind of maybe thought she needed to be. Um,
Yes.
that's just that character's voice. Um,
Uh-huh.
we
Um, I
okay.
I did not write down the song titles for this movie because I'm an idiot, so I completely forgot to
Yeah,
write down the
I
song
have them here.
titles.
The next song here is Skid Row parentheses Downtown, which is a song I had forgotten about and is real good.
It is. I
Yeah.
will say that my notes say it's the downtown song, open brackets, no, not that one, close brackets.
Right. No, the other one. Um,
Yes,
yeah,
the bad downtown song.
this is a real good. This is a real great. Just kind of like, yeah, they're on 80s Skid Row, man. It's
Uh-huh.
bad. Things are
Yeah, and
things are rough.
turns out society hasn't changed much really since
Yeah.
then.
Whoops a doodle. Um,
Oopsies.
and
Um,
I like I like you getting introduced to Skid Row and everything, and alongside finding out that Seymour works at Mishnick's Skid Row flower shop, and it's like, what are you doing?
uh-huh.
What are you?
Well, number one, let's talk about business acumen. Why are you opening a
Right,
shop, a flower shop in that exact location?
right,
Like,
real,
were you hoping to get on the ground floor before gentrification? Like,
right,
is
right,
that the whole plan here?
right. Mishnick's is really taken off now here, like 20 years later. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, but
I did
he,
see a T-shirt because I googled Little Shop of Horrors a lot.
mhm.
The '60s version looks like an absolute mess of a horror movie, by the way, if you
Yeah.
weren't aware that that thing exists.
Yeah,
Um,
if you want to watch a version that leans into the horror aspect way more, that one is your version.
uh-huh, but I did get auto-fed because I buy a lot of T-shirts. I
Mm,
got auto-fed a Mishnick's Flower Shop T-shirt, and I was like, "That's cool." I
that's
don't
pretty
like this
good.
movie enough.
Right, right. Um, and unsurprisingly, Mishnick is kind of sick of there being absolutely no customers,
Uh-huh.
and he's threatening to close down the store. Seymour's making eyes at Audrey because he's obviously in love with her, um, and I like that Audrey is like, maybe we should go in a different bit cough 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 a different business way. Seymour,
Uh-huh.
bring up
Maybe
the plant.
maybe advertise as well. That might help.
That would also do probably a world of wonder.
So There's a lot about this movie I do like, and I
Uh-huh.
think part of the comedy aspect of this is something which I don't like, which is everyone is a trope. Like
Sure.
every single character is a just a ridiculous trope. You've got Aubrey being the wannabe chain link fence housewife. By the way, not picket fence, chain link
Right.
fence. Um, you've got the nerdy Seymour. You've got the stereotypically Jewish business owner in Mr.
Right.
Mishnek. The dentist being the dentist, which we'll get into that when we get into that.
Uh-huh.
I hate you so much, Boston, by the way, just so you know.
It's one of my
But
biggest gaps in memory, apparently.
I haven't played the new, like, going inside people's heads game for that reason.
Oh,
Because
Psychonauts.
it
Yeah, yeah.
starts, yeah, it starts
Well,
with a dentist sequence, essentially.
and I think that's interesting because I agree that all of these characters are very much their tropes, and I feel like that's a holdover from the play, where it's like
Hmm.
in a play you usually have to know, all right, this is the rich person, this is the damsel in distress, this is the hero, haha. You know, like you have to read
Yeah.
those almost immediately, and I feel like that might be a holdover from. Of course, these two are in love, and you know that within 30 seconds of you meeting them. Like,
Hmm.
all of that. And we, he brings up Audrey 2 from the basement, little tiny Audrey 2, who
Yep.
he
Do you like the name? Question mark. No, dude.
no one does, Seymour. Come on, man. Um
Toozy
we
is great. I do like Toozy. When he shifts over
Tui
to Toozy is
Tui,
pretty solid.
yeah. Yeah. Um I always forget that he calls her, some people call her Tui later, which I think is a much better one. And then we get a pretty stereotypically racist scene of like, I bought it from a Chinese guy.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's,
My note is literally strange Chinese man trope, of
yeah,
course.
very not super great. So he bought Audrey 2 slash Tui, we'll just call her Tui, from a flower shop during a solar eclipse, which is pretty great in general.
Yes.
And the plant starts to bring a ton of business to the shop. The first person in the door talking about Tui, Christopher Guest, who
Uh-huh.
I did not realize was in this movie in a fairly prominent. Also, love your movies, sir. Um, so a bunch of people are like, "Hey, I'm gonna come in the store. Look at this crazy plant. Also, I'm gonna spend a whole bunch of money. Thanks." Um,
Can you break 100? Because I need $50 of roses. No. Okay, I'll have twice as many.
that's right.
That's stupid.
He'll
So
have twice as many.
this is the part where I am a firm believer of Tui's spore slash mind control thing, which it seems like the 60s version goes into a lot more.
Okay.
Like of Tui's ability to kind of enchant and entrance people into doing
Sure.
what it wants them to do.
Influencing spores.
Yes.
Right.
Which they actually reference the fact that Tui has spores, they have spores. Tui has spores, they have spores
Right.
in the song.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
From my roots to my spores, I believe is the line, which is a great
Right.
line. Instead of head to feet, that's a great alternative.
Yeah. Um, and they have a really great day of business, and then Tui sort of, however, a plant can pass out, essentially passes out
Mhm.
and starts to wither. And then we get this whole frustratingly long scene with Chewie sucking the air about the blood. We find out Chewie wants blood,
Mhm.
which is also a thing that I had forgotten.
Mhm. Yeah, I like
And
the fact that it's Seymour complaining about everything that he's given the planet. It's like, what do you want, my blood? And then literally cuts himself, and like it's like, yes, that's
yeah,
exactly what it wants.
I do
You
kind of
did,
like that song "Grow for Me." That
yes,
there's some good wordplay in there that I think we don't always get in the rest of this movie.
100%. And we did totally jump over Seymour's naivety when he asks Aubrey if that's new makeup when she's very clearly got a black eye from a shiner.
She's got a real shiner, and he's like, Audrey, is that new? Is that new makeup? And she's just like,
Uh-huh.
no, no, you sweet summer child.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Like, again, domestic violence. Hey, this is the
right.
dark part of the comedy, I guess.
Um, so this is he's Seymour continues to feed Tui the blood. Tui gets bigger. They kind of turn
Uh-huh.
into a local celebrity.
Yeah,
Um,
we get the time skip where suddenly he's on the radio.
yeah, it's
And
just J-
okay,
John
sure.
Candy is there,
Uh-huh.
just John Candying it up in a
Yeah, well,
really great role.
I feel like there was two scenes in this movie that were not scripted and were probably ad-libbed. This
Yes,
is one of them.
you give John Candy a bunch of stuff, and he's just gonna go.
Yeah, this is your role, go for it
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Yep.
The other one, we'll get to it when we get to it because
Okay.
100% it felt like that entire thing was ad-libbed.
Oh, yes. So we um
By the way, I did make a note saying I am noping the hell out if a plant wants blood. Just FYI.
yeah, like you set that thing on fire and you leave. Like a job at a plant shop is not getting paid minimum wage is probably not because he's not doing revenue share. Come on,
Uh-huh.
no,
This is
no.
where I turn into Charlize Theron from Prometheus, where she just comes out the ship with a flamethrower and is just like, nope,
That's right.
sterilize the location.
That's right. So we had a pretty good song with Audrey, "Somewhere That's Green," about her kind of overall white picket fence kind of dreams. Her "Better Homes and Gardens"
Mm.
song. It's fine.
Yes.
It's not
It's
my favorite.
fine. I do like the fact that this is prompted by the three street urchins, which
Right.
were mentioned earlier on.
Right.
Let's talk about the line "suddenly successful Seymour" in that starts this song, which is like I wouldn't have
Uh-huh.
paid any attention to him except for now he's suddenly successful Seymour, and it's like,
Yeah.
I hate this trope. It's making her look bad. It's making him look bad. The whole thing makes every person
Hmm.
in this look bad, like as a
Well, and it
whole.
it kind of it's the opposite of the ending too, where she's like, "Well, I've always loved you. Like, you're Seymour." Like, so
Did
it's
you?
right. Now they got that Audrey 2 money. You're good.
Mm-hmm.
So we then get probably my favorite joke in this movie that I think probably only plays decades later, which is Audrey saying, "I can't go out with you tonight, Seymour, to shop for some new clothes. I have a date with my boyfriend, the dentist." And it cuts
Mm-hmm.
to
So, really quick,
yeah,
I think we do need to talk about the Bed Bath and Beyond song really quick
yeah,
because it's like you said, it's a fine song. That is secretly one of the darkest songs
yes,
because it's like she's building this fantasy life out of the like
the
looking
Better
through a
Homes and
catalog.
Gardens. Yeah,
And then on top of that, some of the lines are really bad. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep plastic on the furniture to keep it nice and clean. It's like, no,
oh, that's an '80s thing. That's
I hate
no,
that crap.
that's America in the '80s. It's like you put the plastic on the couch to keep it perfectly clean.
Ugh.
Like that was a dark era for a lot of things.
Uh-huh. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, okay, then yes, that song is dark in so many ways these
that
days.
song
But
is
yes,
rough, and it cuts
we
to the
need to
doctor,
talk about this
who's
song.
Steve Martin, which I
With
totally
black
forgot about.
hair.
Yeah, like I think after Steve Martin was in like Cheaper by the Dozen and Father of the Bride, I think that makes this role even better of this like gas huffing, girlfriend beating masochist dentist
Uh-huh.
because he comes on screen and I'm like,
Sadist. Thank
sorry,
you.
yes,
Sadist.
sadist. My apologies.
We'll get to the other part of that combo later.
Right. But like
I
him showing
I
up on
love
screen on that motorcycle is just like, this is perfect. This is so good.
I like the fact that he gets off the bike and it stops itself. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's a
sheer- it's a
That-
good bit.
that's what I'm talking about when like we talked about it in the first part of this episode where I'm like, this movie is genuinely really funny. There's a lot of stuff in there that's really very
Mhm.
funny. Like Seymour asked her like, is that some new makeup? And it's like, No, man, it's a black eye.
Yeah,
You
no,
dumb dummy.
you poor child.
That's right.
Um, this song as a whole, though, like I love the reveal because I didn't know who or what he did. All
Yes.
he is he's referred to as a professional and someone that's going places,
Yep.
which is part of the reason why Aubrey is with him because she wants to get out of Skid Row. She views him as an option to get out of Skid Row.
Right.
Whatever.
And the
Um,
opening credits say like, and a guest appearance by Steve Martin. I'm like, oh yeah, right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then, of
Yeah.
course, he shows up. He starts singing about how when he was a child, he was shooting dogs with BB guns,
Uh-huh.
smashing cats' heads in.
Yeah.
And his mother's like, one day you'll get a job that you'll adore and you'll be really good at. And he walks into this door, strips off the leather, and it's like, you'll be a dentist. And it's just like, it's such a good reveal.
The camera move through the wall as he takes the jacket off at the same time and he's in that dentist office is really good. Like, it's perfect comedic timing for that specific joke, and I it's so good. And then the rest of the scene is so
You'll have to talk about this because I literally didn't watch it. I covered
So-
the phone
so most
with
of
the
it
screen, especially with the inside of the mouth angle.
Yeah, so
That-
most of it, except for that specific shot, is a lot of like there's a tool in a mouth and someone is screaming and then he moves on. So it's not like specific. And then they show the inside the mouth stuff, which is one of the most impressive puppets I have ever seen. To like have one of the most horrific like drilling a tooth thing in the foreground. Incredibly, like we'll continue to talk about the puppetry as Tui gets bigger, but
Yes.
an incredibly impressive piece of like you want some incredible puppets, you put Frank Oz on this thing.
Did you write a favorite line down from this dentist song, by the way? Because I have one for you.
I love almost all of them. I didn't write down any.
They refer to him as the leader of the plaque, which
It's
is
so good.
considering he's a bike riding leather jacket wearing person.
It's like
That
3
is
jokes in
such
one.
A good line. That is so good.
Yeah, that's like a paycheck earning line right there. Where it's like, guys, I got it. Guys, I got the joke.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's really great. And
This is where my FU Boston showed up in my notes, by the way.
yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, I was thinking of you the whole movie where I'm like, boy, this is a whole thing for Moon. This is unfortunate. So we get introduced to him, and this is where Tui starts to speak to Seymour as they have continued
Giant
to get bigger.
Tui does the
Right.
fainting trick again.
Right, right. It's like a dog that doesn't want to go home on a walk. It's just like, oh no, my legs. And this is where we go ahead.
Feed me.
Yeah, we get the kind of famous feed me, Seymour." That the famous line from this movie, and we get the "Feed Me" song, which is better than I remember it being. I remember that kind of being a little bit weaker, but that was a pretty strong song.
Yeah, and it's probably worth mentioning as well that this is not like most musicals. Like this has got a very funky soundtrack. Like there's a lot
Yes.
of like 80s like black music in this. Like
There's a lot of doo-wop, there's a lot of Motown, there's a lot of soul.
the chorus is 3 black ladies as well.
Right.
Like it's got a really funky soundtrack, and I like the fact that one of the singers of the Four Tops is Aubrey too, or two.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
it's really great. Like, and the "Feed Me" is stupidly catchy for a song about how people deserve to die.
It's so Chewie is so naked about it, where it's like, just feed me a person. Just go get me a person, shove it on in here, feed me a person. Sometimes people deserve to die.
Yep, and you show you don't know anybody. Oh, by the way, here is a camera panning outside to Aubrey's apartment, where the dentist shows up, having left her at the side of the road.
She fell off the bike, so he leaves.
Side saddle.
Right. So he leaves. It does the like parking thing again, which is consistently good, and she catches up to him, and then realized she had to run the rest of the way home, and then he starts unfortunately beating on her, and then Seymour is just like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, that's right. Um, there's a we also forgot the first time that Seymour and Dr. Oren, what's his last name? Oren
I
Scrivello, DDS. Well, the first time they meet, and he is such a scumbag, he makes Audrey refer to him as Doctor, which is
Mhm.
like just the worst. Oh, so scummy.
And then
Um,
she's the one who pushes the bike to get it in the right position so they can leave.
yes, that's true. I forgot about that. Yikes. Um, so yeah, Tui is like, hey man, cough, cough, cough. Maybe you can make a bunch of problems go away at the same time. Feed me the
Mhm.
dentist. Cough, cough, cough.
I can get you interviews with this famous TV person, I'm assuming. I can get you this, that, and
Yep,
the other. You want a brand new Cadillac? I can do that too.
that's right. That's right. So we get a really great scene now when Seymour goes to the dentist's office. Um,
Yeah, this is the ad lib scene. I'm assuming every single bit of this was ad libbed.
it has to be. I don't see how it doesn't. We get the appearance of Arthur Denton, played by Bill Murray, who is way into dental work.
Mhm. This is the
the,
masochist part of that
yeah,
formula.
the I really love the line of like he's going to his Friday dentist, and like she doesn't really see very well anymore, but I really admire her strength, and if you kind of tell her where it is, she'll find it around in there somewhere after a
Mhm.
while. And I'm like, this is really great. This is just a really great bit of him just being all the way into like
Uh-huh.
he's putting the things in his own mouth. He puts the bib on himself. He
Yeah,
puts the
he, he
light on
he put the
himself.
light on
Like,
himself as well. It's like you've done this way too much. Like
it's like,
me and Bill Murray are exact opposites at this
yeah,
moment in
the
time.
the furthest of the poles. Like I think that there it's such a good character here of just and Otto just being disgusted that someone would be into this thing that he's not getting the joy from it anymore because he's not inflicting pain on someone. So to him, it's just not even worth it. Um,
Yeah, it's like,
it's
dude, you are two sides of the same coin. Like,
right,
chill.
right, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Um, but he kicks out Arthur, and then he pulls Seymour into the chair to kind of not exact revenge, but make himself feel better
Uh-huh.
by using a medieval torture device that is
Yep.
the worst. Um,
They don't make him like this anymore. Rusty and dull.
I love how he says "dull," like he's just
Mm-hmm.
loving it.
With
And then
his
he put
Elvis impersonation, the whole
that's
movie as
yes,
well.
yeah, like the world's worst Elvis impersonation. Um, so he then puts on his special gas mask to really feel it. Um, and
That mask is something special.
it's it's really good. And Seymour has a gun in his pocket. I don't know how Seymour of all people would have gotten a gun, but it's the
He
'80s
lives
on
on
Skid
Skid
Row,
Row,
so
dude.
like
It's
the
probably
three
this is
urchins had one, and you just let them borrow
it
it for a little
probably
bit.
belongs to the store.
It's right. It's under the register. He took it out. Um, so he's not able to shoot Otto, and then Otto sees the gun and then starts kind of not freaking out. He's just sort of like, what are you gonna do to me? Like, you gonna shoot me
Mm-hmm.
with this gun? And then he goes to take it off, and like the valve breaks off on the gas mask, and he dies because he ODs on laughing gas. I'm assuming it's supposed to be, and then you
So
get
here's the
but
fun part. I'm pretty sure if the valve breaks on that kind of stuff, it comes out the valve hole, not the
yeah.
actual other hole
Yeah,
itself.
it's one of those like, how do we kill this dude without Seymour shooting him? I guess this will
Yeah.
work. One of those things. I do really like how the puffy parts on the side droop down. That boo, like they droop down after he dies. That's a
Yes.
very good little piece of work there. Um, And then
But
sure didn't
literally,
want.
by the way, my note here is he's dead, thank God. Because we
Yeah,
don't have to do any more dentist stuff in this movie.
yeah, like Audrey is free, Seymour's free to get his smooch on, and then as much as the movie didn't want Seymour to shoot Otto, the dentist, it's sure happy to have him chop him into pieces with a hatchet, which is
And
weird.
in that like weird like 40s 50s New York way where it's like wrapped in newspaper as well,
Yeah, the
like an old
only thing
school
I could think
butcher's.
is like, yeah, it's like an old school butcher thing, and like also we cannot show any body parts in this movie to try
Mhm.
and keep this PG-13 rating. I don't know if this is. I don't know if R was around during then because it was 86. I never know when R got introduced. Um,
There's
but
one movie that did it, and I can't remember what movie it was. It
yeah,
probably wasn't at that point.
that's what I was
I think
thinking.
I think Gremlins was responsible for PG-13, which is
I
hilarious to me.
believe so. Yeah. So I feel like it's one of those things where it's like we really can't kind of keep pushing the rating on this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, he chops up Otto in like the back lot behind the building. We see Mr. Mushnick sees the some of the chopping up act. That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't see the feeding part of it. Tui is super pumped about getting an entire human's worth of blood. And the what happens here? Oh yeah, and then it's like the next day where the police are outside. They're saying Otto is gone. Suddenly Seymour is the song here. They kind of revisit that.
Yes.
And then that night Mushnick confronts Seymour about saying like, I know what you did. Like I
Uh-huh.
saw it all. I don't know
How
what
about
like
how about you go on your way? We don't have
right,
to go to the police. How about you
right.
go on your way? You just teach me how to
That's right. Give
feed
me all the plant secrets. I also kind of
Tuesday.
like that nobody in the movie is upset that Otto is dead. Like
No.
even Mushnick is sort of like, it's fine. You still killed someone. You know, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, but you still need to. I can turn you to the police, or just give me all the secrets. Just tell me
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff. Um, and I like the kind of slow back up into Tui's gaping maw, and eats eats Mushnick,
Yes.
slurps the whole
And
guy down.
Tui's mouth gets more and more gross as it grows. We should
It
probably
really
mention
does.
that too. Um,
It's rough in there. It's a horror
I
show.
think is this the point where we need to talk about that puppet and how absolutely phenomenal it is?
It's bonkers. I really didn't remember it getting this big,
Mm-hmm.
and so much of it is so well puppeted. I guess
Yeah.
I don't know what what the verb is for that. But like
Like the movement, the motion is so good. Like when it during the Feed Me song is when it really shines because the
yeah,
lip motions are ridiculously good.
yep,
It's super expressive, essentially just being a head with a mouth, like a ball
yep.
with a mouth written on it. Like it's
It's wild,
insane. And like
and like all the
the
tendrils and
tentacles,
yep.
yeah.
And you mentioned like especially the lip movements because you could have gotten away without moving the lips and it would have still been
Mm-hmm.
okay because it's such a big practical puppet. But just that little extra bit of
Like
since
it's got a
Tui,
snarl to that mouth,
yeah,
like
especially
a
without it having
curly.
eyes, I feel like animating and like puppeting the lips helps it so much. Um,
Mm-hmm. It's so impressive.
it's really wild. Um, so we get another song here, "Supper Time," which I kind of don't remember. It's not one of the standouts here,
No.
unfortunately. Um,
Um,
so
is this is that the one where Seymour is trying to leave?
no, that's "Supper Time 2." That's the end of this next scene because the next scene here is like um, Seymour and Tui are becoming a huge success in a way that I thought initially was a dream. Like he went to bed after that and he had this big dream of him being on magazines and him having being on TV, and Tui's huge, but that's just kind of real life at this point. And Seymour has a kind of a public freak out. The attention is becoming too great, and Tui's
Yes.
desire for human blood, the thirst for blood,
Uh-huh.
is starting to become worrying.
Yes, this is when he gives it. He's like, "I'm gonna go to Butcher's. I'm gonna get you some meat, and you're gonna
Yep.
have to make do." That's it. End of
Yep.
conversation. And that's when he calls Aubrey 1
Yes.
instead.
Yes. And like
This
coaxes
is
her
where the
over.
yes, this is. I like the fact he's like, "You're looking great tonight." It's like, "Oh, Seymour, is that you?" It's like, "Nope."
No,
And then
baby.
she looks out the window and sees
I
it,
really
like the
love that
plant in
shot.
the window.
Yeah, just the like filling up the room, and just like, oh no. Um,
Hmm.
um, yeah, and
I'm
then
assuming that this is where the director's cut takes a hard turn.
yeah, this is where the two endings kind of diverge because either way, it seems like um, the Audrey 2 starts eating Audrey. Um,
Hmm.
and in the version that, let's talk about the theatrical cut because it's much shorter. Um,
Yes.
the theatrical cut is essentially he rescues her from the maw of Tui, and then has this like giant exposed power something, and then
Oh, it's because
zaps.
Aubrey 2 starts pulling the roof down
Oh
and
yeah, which is
collapsing the shop.
a really great set of shots of just like, yeah, this puppet is destroying this building in a way that
Hmm.
is pretty impressive.
Yes. I don't want to talk about how many bullets is in that revolver. I get it. There's too
It's
many.
35. he's he's very fast, more than enough to kill anything that moves. But he like jabs the power thing into Tui and gets electrified, which I feel like nowadays he would burn the plant
Hmm.
as kind of a thing. And then Audrey 2 dies, and they kind of Audrey and Seymour kind of ride off into the sunset, and everybody's happy, yay! Um,
Yay. And then we do get the one smiling baby or baby Chewy in the
right.
garden, in the
I,
Better Homes and
I
Garden.
I do like that. Yeah, they got their like nuclear family house, and they still have the little smiling Audrey out there. Um, in the version we watched, was just kind of the director's cut, non-theatrical one. Um, he rescues Audrey from Tui's mouth, takes her to
Hmm.
like the back alley. She dies, like all the way, just full on perishes after saying like, "I've always loved you." Bleh. Um,
Yep.
and then he just feeds her to Tui
Yep.
in
Sure. Why
like
not?
a real
I guess
horrible scene of just like a Viking funeral, like passing her gently into Tui's mouth.
we can
Um,
call this an Ivy funeral. Thank you very much.
there you go. Um, and this is also after like a pretty interesting scene of like a marketing guy coming to Seymour and being like, "Hey man, we took a bunch of clippings and made a bunch of Audrey 2s. Where they're going to be all
Yep.
over the world, all over the world, over the world." He
We don't
realizes
have to work with you. You
that's
know.
it's a really
Plants
good line of just like,
plants are open source essentially.
right, yeah. Um, and then essentially um, we get the Mean Green Mother from Outer Space scene here
Such a
as
good
well.
song.
That to me is like one of the kind of three kind of top songs. Like it's the title song, Skid Row, and then Mean Green Mother from Outer Space is for me. Kind of
Hmm.
with maybe like Feed Me in there as well. Um, and um, Audrey too just kind of takes over the world
Yeah.
at
We
this
get
point.
a long, long, long
Yeah.
extended montage of lots of Tui's taking over everywhere.
So I kind of have a problem with this scene. I like it, and again, incredible like scale and puppet work and sets and
Chewie throwing the cab at the buildings is
really good.
hilarious.
And of course, since it's in New York, Tui is on top of the Statue
Empire
of
State
Liberty.
Building.
Yeah.
Oh
like
yes, yes, the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
I do
really
like
good.
the fact that it closes out with the song about like how the stuff you just saw started happening everywhere, and one of
Yep.
the first lines in that song is they ate Cleveland, and it's just
It's
Cleveland with a bunch of.
it's really good. My only problem with the scene is it is so long. It
Mhm.
feels like it's 20 minutes of Tui laughing, and
Yes.
it's pretty annoying, in a way that is kind of a bummer because I think so much of it is funny. Like they ate Cleveland, like that's a very funny line. Um, like getting them coming out of all of these buildings and the army is shooting at them and they can't do anything. Like that's
The
really
old
good stuff.
lady tug of war in the bathroom between two tendrils
Yes.
is some quality like
Yep.
physical comedy.
There's some real good stuff, but it's all underlaid with like 20 minutes of Tui laughing, and I think that kind of hurts it from like an annoying perspective. And then the end of it is just the end with like 2 or 3 interrobangs at the end of just like
Yep.
also being like, what the hell? That's the ending, and then it's credits,
Yep.
which is just a really great
I was
great
like,
ending.
wait, did I like while I was watching this, I was like, wait, is this a dream sequence? And then they're gonna go back to the happy ending?
Right.
Like, what did I miss here? And then like when pulling up the menu, it was like director's cut, and I was like, ah,
Yes. Which I'm glad we watched because I have never seen the director's cut. I only saw the original
Same.
ending. Which, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's out there on YouTube. It's like 3.5 minutes long. Like it's considerably shorter of an ending. And then that's kind of it for the movie. It's and Tui wins. So what do you think about Little Shop of Horrors here?
oh, it has funnier moments than I expected it to have.
Yeah.
Like there are some genuine moments that are quite funny. It has a whole sequences which I forgot about and do not like, which we talked about. I think it's very middle of the road for me personally. Like some of it is really, really good, and some of it is just kind of like we said, it's tropish to the extreme in some places where it's just like, I get it. Like show me something original. Give me the note song from Phantom. Like, you know. I don't know. I mean, it's good. It is good. I'm not gonna like sit here and say it's not a good movie. I think it is a good movie. I probably prefer the original ending just because of it is like it feels like 20 minutes of explosions and everything. It's fine, I guess. Like I enjoyed some of the music. I didn't like some of the other music. It's a lot darker than I expected. I knew it was going to be dark. I didn't think it would be that dark.
Yeah, I think I found it to be funnier than I remembered in a very kind of dark humor sort of way. It's also very impressive how it is just a who's who of comedians from that era. Like everybody is in that, and they are all firing on all cylinders. Steve Martin, I really like that Steve Martin is leaning into one of the worst put upon accents in film history and just rides that thing until he dies. Like it's really good. But I agree with you. Like I think this is a musical season, so from a musical standpoint, I think the highs are really high. You got 3 or 4 really standout like classic songs. I think the rest of the songs are fine. I don't think there's a song in there where I'm like, oh boy, like the Audrey song, the
Something Green.
Yeah, the Something Green song is probably the weakest of them. It's not a bad song. It's just, and she has an incredible singing voice. It's just kind of fine. But even the lesser songs are still really good. But man, those puppets,
Yeah,
gosh, just every single
like
piece of puppetry in this movie is outstanding.
this just makes me want more practical effects, like in
Yeah.
everything.
Yep.
Like it's we did John Wick for this season, so it's that whole thing of like the OG John Wick, like being all stuntmen, all real, all
Yeah.
physical things. And it's like, yeah, I could probably do with more of this and maybe less of the CGI nightmare that seems to happen all the time.
Yeah. It's one of those movies where you're like, I don't want anyone to remake it unless they're
Hmm.
going to make another puppet and have it be maybe more articulated. But like, if you make it into a CG thing, you lose that physicality that of Seymour
Yes.
interacting with this thing, and Seymour growing smaller as Tui gets bigger and fills this entire
Hmm.
shop. Like you kind of can't lose that sense of scale that all these actors
Okay.
are reacting to.
Fantasy booking time here, to use a wrestling
Yeah.
terminology. They make a sequel. They bring
Hmm.
Rick Moranis back because he said he's comfortable coming back to acting now his kids are older.
Okay.
What's it called? Let's Love Never Dies this. Let's see
Right.
what the worst title we can come up with for it is.
Uh, they digested Cleveland. They're back for more.
See, I was gonna go with Plants Find a Way as this as
Oh,
the
that's
colon.
really good. Oh man, just like the wink and nod of like, you know what we're talking about. The
Uh-huh.
reference. Tui's
Uh-huh.
back. Um, yeah, I don't. I like this movie. I don't. I think it's another one where it's like, yeah, I understand why this is a classic. I understand why this is a play you go see, because it
Uh-huh.
really, even the movie version very much feels like a play. Like this thing moves. It's an hour and a half,
Yes.
maybe, and like a lot of times it's like, all right, we're Seymour's going to bed. Next day, he's on covers, he's on magazines, he's on TV. Two is huge. Like it really motors the whole way, in a
Yeah.
way that's pretty impressive. But um, I think that's all I can think of for this movie. It's good. It's all right.
Ratings. We need to look at the
Oh
ratings.
man, I do need to look at the ratings. Let me open up something like Letterboxd here, and I'm going to type in "Little Shop of Horrors." It'd be
The
really nice
60s
if
version is 70 minutes, by the way.
70 minutes. Okay. Um, Little Shop of Horrors on Letterboxd. 2.2 thousand people have put it at 3.8 out of 5. I feel like
Okay.
that's pretty fair. I
Yeah.
don't think
I
that's
would put this
unreasonable.
on a 5-star scale. I would put this at like a 3-4.
Yeah. IMDb, 80,000 people have it at a 7.1 out
Which
of
is
10.
about a 3 or a 4,
Yeah,
roughly.
we're sort of sitting right there at the same level. And Rotten Tomatoes here, Tomato Meter, 51 reviews, 90%. And
So,
audience,
I mean, yeah.
yeah, that's great. And then audience score over 100,000 ratings at an 80%.
So mostly positive. Like that's the takeaway here is who was the musical freak who didn't like musicals or didn't like
Right,
this musical.
right.
Um, I'm so excited to get to the towards the end of this season to hit out like 3 big ones.
We got
Well,
some wild stuff coming here. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Uh, yeah, so I'm going to recommend here, if you're listening to this on the public feed, if you'd like to hear these episodes 2 months early, go sign up at
Uh-huh.
patreon.com/E1M1.
Those ones are numbers, by the way.
If you're listening to this, you probably cannot predict the final episode of this season. If you're listening to this on the public feed and you can go be a patron, I highly suggest it. That's probably going to be a really
Last
good
2
episode.
episodes, like you gotta
Yeah,
one of them I guarantee you've heard of, and the other one you probably have no idea what it
right.
is.
Yeah. So go sign up there. You'll get early access to that. Get our production meetings where you talk about all the behind the scenes planning stuff, do some psychic
Uh-huh.
damage to each other. All right. That's our episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you all next episode. Bye.
Bye.